Welcome to Over and Out with me, Sadi Raza, as Ahmed Khwaja in the UAE. We're going to review both the semifinals for the T20 World Cup and then preview the upcoming final this coming weekend. So, a little bit of an anticlimactic set of semifinal matches. We certainly, after the Super 8 spectaculars, expected some close contests, but we got two duds. Let's start off with India England, by far and away the more marquee game because two of the big three teams. And hats off to India. Dominating performance. And if you look at the last two ICC world events, so the 2023 50 over ODI and the 2024 T20 ODI, they've basically won every game but one. They now dominate teams in all three phases: batting, bowling, fielding. They have a balanced lineup in batting. They can beat you in multiple different ways. You look at you look at the semifinal whereby they got performances from Rohit Sharma, from Sky, from Hardik Pandya, who himself is a unicorn of a fast bowling all rounder, with of course Bumrah, but then Kuldeep chipped in with 3 wickets. Axar Patel chipped in with 3 wickets. Only one of whom they played in their big game against Pakistan. That's their depth, and of course, outstanding fielding as well. Now India is getting from the likes of Jadeja. This is a very, very good Indian team, and they deserve everything that they've attained so far.
Absolutely, Doc. And the thing is, they are winning despite of Virat Kohli, not because of him. He's only made 75 runs in 7 innings. He's been a complete failure in the New York phase of the tournament. He hasn't delivered. He's gotten off to starts, but he's just looking to play too many shots here and gone early as well. So they've had the likes of Suryakumar Yadav has made 350s. Arshdeep Singh is the top wicket taker for India in any men's T20 World Cup. Who would have thought? We would have thought, okay, Bumrah is going to dominate or Kuldeep Yadav, but Arshdeep Singh of all people is taking wickets consistently up top. So that has been a major boon for them. Rohit Sharma has found his touch at the right stage of the tournament. I felt that his 50 odd today was even better than the knock he played against Australia, because it was a very difficult pitch with a lot of variable bounce in the start, and of course coming on and off because of the rain interruptions. That just shows the quality of the player. And like you mentioned, top to bottom, India have looked an outstanding outfit and looking red hot favorites for the final as well.
Yeah, obviously Arshdeep with the 15 wickets, but I think it's in tandem with Bumrah taking 13 wickets. His economy rate was 4.1 for that. But then a very balanced bowling lineup. Kuldeep has 10 wickets, Axar Patel with 8 wickets, Hardik Pandya with 8 wickets. They have strength and depth in numbers in batting and bowling. It's a fantastic team. On the other side, I didn't understand England's sort of game plan. They won the toss, and on a tricky wicket, they chose to put India into bat. Whether that was because they were worried about the rain, they wanted to know what the DLS score was going to be. But still, Josh Butler has a lot of resources at his disposal, but he hasn't made the best use of them. He's not an Owen Morgan, let's put it that way.
He's always had a bend, not break kind of bowling attack in T20Is. Yeah, we'll contain the opposition and we'll overcome any deficiencies with our high-powered batting. And if you remember, Doc, in our previous preview, we said that India's best chance is batting first, and then the 8 overs of Bumrah and Kuldeep Yadav will perhaps set the tone. And that is literally exactly what happened. They were 26 for no loss after 3 overs, got off to a decent start. Josh Butler with a horrible shot, and then Jasprit Bumrah, when he knocked over Phil Salt, that was pretty much the game then and there. So I don't understand. We've seen bad calls made by Josh Butler in the past, in the 22 World Cup, in the 2023 ODI World Cup as well. I specifically remember that match at Mumbai against South Africa when he won the toss and elected to bowl first, and South Africa smashed 400 runs and completely obliterated England. This has been a trend with Josh Butler. He does not make the right call when they win the toss. Forget about losing it. When they win the toss, he's made some calamitous errors in the past, and perhaps it is time that England move on from Josh Butler in the white ball format. I would look at the likes of Harry Brook, could be a great option for the future. Maybe Phil Salt could be an outside choice as well. But I think Josh Butler, I think it's his final years in the white ball format. He truly has nothing to achieve. He's won everything that there is in ODIs and in T20Is. And I think it's about time they just, pick out Harry Brook and look to build a team with him for the future.
It'll be interesting to see how they go about their changes and juxtapose that with Pakistan, who are in very similar sort of in a similar boat to England in some ways. I will say that England, although reaching the semi-final, this has been a disappointing World Cup for them. They lost to Australia, they got smashed by Australia, lost to South Africa, probably would have lost to Scotland. And that West Indies game really saved them. The net run rate on that, and then obviously they smashed the US, and so they were able to qualify. Let's go to the second game. Afghanistan came off a high, and I was reading afterwards. Some people thought this was more of Afghanistan sort of felt their achievement was in making the semifinal. Maybe that was the reason why they didn't perform. But I think that's not an accurate way to do it, because I think that lets down how good South Africa were. I think South Africa were fantastic. Yes, the pitch was tricky, but to bowl a international team out in a World Cup semifinal under 60 runs is a tremendous undertaking by any stretch. And this is no fluke now for South Africa. This is a fantastic run they're on. They're undefeated, and they've played in different situations, different opponents, and they've come through in every manner. This is a team that deserves to be in the final.
Well, 100%. I thought it wasn't a bad decision at the toss to bat first. We saw that even though India were put into bat, there was very well bounce here in Guyana as well, but they overcame that. They built a partnership. They played watchfully in the first 10 overs, and then they aggressed in the final five, and they got up to 170 odd. Afghanistan wanted to do that as well, but outstanding bowling from Marco Jansen and Kagiso Rabada within the power play, pardon me. They got those test match dismissals, nicking off to slip, getting that ball to Seaman and clean bowling the likes of Mohammad Nabi and of course Ibrahim Zadran. Those were two fantastic deliveries. And that just shows the sheer quality and firepower that South Africa have in their batting and their bowling. It was a welcome sign to see Aiden Markram and Reza Hendricks getting some runs under their belt. It wasn't easy batting conditions at all when Naveen and Fazlul Haq were operating as well. But in the end, a major disappointment that Afghanistan could not put on a better show in the semi-final. I think Azmatullah Omarzai in particular will be very disappointed with his dismissal. He was the only recognized batter and just flailing at one outside off and caught at deep cover. But other than that, they had absolutely no chance. South Africa were on their A game, and with that trio of fast bowlers of Jansen, Anrich Nortje, and Kagiso Rabada, even better sides would not have been able to handle them.
Yeah, they were absolutely on fire that whole game. Let's go to the final preview. I think definitely the two best teams made the final of this T20 World Cup. Something you can't always say in a T20 format, but I think they got it right this time. They're both undefeated, both have strength and depth in both batting and bowling. This is easy to say in a T20 format, but I really do think that the key is the power play. From a South African perspective, from a bowling perspective, how many Indian wickets do they take in their power play, and when they're batting, how many runs they score? Because once again, when you play India, you have to take top order wickets, and then you have to score runs when you can against Bumrah. The easiest time to do that is obviously when you have men inside the circle. From an Indian perspective, I think it's they're comfortable batting first or chasing. Again, it comes to depth. You do worry if the baggage from a decade of not winning an ICC event weighs on them. There is pressure there. We saw that in 2020 in the 2023 World Cup final against Australia in home conditions. But I think India should be favorites on paper. And in a T20 format, anything can happen. It should be a fascinating game.
Well, it certainly should be. And I think for the sake of the South Africans, I would not want to chase. I would want to bat first. We've seen Barbados has had the best batting wicket in this World Cup so far. We saw how Shea Hope batted here. We saw how England batted here versus the Windies as well. And we saw how Australia smashed England as well in that morning game when they got 200 plus. So certainly should look to bat first, nullify Bumrah and Kuldeep as much as possible, because in the run chase, their 8 overs are very, very difficult to manage. So you want to go out there, bat freely. You don't want to chase under pressure against Bumrah and Kuldeep. You want to put the Indian batters under pressure. Virat Kohli, well, he's failed in 7 innings on the trot. I think on the eighth time of asking, he might appear. But you need to get rid of Rohit Sharma as well. Early Rishabh Pant failed as well in the semi-final, but it's going to be a very, very tough task. But the good thing is South Africa do have those match-winning spinners as well. Tabraiz Shamsi has been bowling beautifully in this World Cup. He's provided that cutting edge. Marco Jansen, he can be a bit inconsistent with the new ball. He can bowl a few wides, he can overstep the mark, but we know he bowls that full length at 140 plus, gets that ball to swing. He's basically like a Pro Max version of Ashdeep Singh. So if he can get on top of the Indian top order, we have seen Rohit Sharma. He is always vulnerable to the left arm in-swing bowler. No matter how good he is, you always have a chance. So if you get it right, and if Virat Kohli once again in a bit of a slump, if he falls early, anything is possible in the run chase. If I'm South Africa, I definitely want to bat first, and I would say the same for Rohit Sharma as well.
Yeah, no, of course, for the second ICC tournament in a row, you could say that India's toughest opponent actually was Pakistan. Both in 2023, Pakistan gave them the sort of not the toughest, but out of the opponents up to the final, definitely the toughest. And then this time, 119 all out is still India's worst performance with the bat in the World Cup. But that's one of those that, as fans,
we survive on what ifs. That's all.
What
For a
ifs,
Pakistan fan, we live on what ifs.
Buts. Yeah, it's a pity though. But at the end of the day, these were the two best teams. I think the fourth semifinalists were the best fourth semifinalists. You can't really quibble with the Super 8 either. So, as a Pakistan fan, this team did deserve to make the Super 8. They didn't deserve the semis. Let's not even talk about the final. It's been a good tournament. I wouldn't say great. It's been a good tournament to watch. Obviously, first time hosting the US, there will be some teething issues. The New York pitch, the drop-in pitch there. I think Dallas was a lot better. Obviously, they play Major League Cricket there. They've been playing it for a year now. This is their second season playing cricket there, so that was better. Fort Lauderdale was a disaster, mostly weather-related. But again, although that stadium's been there for a while, it hasn't really played. You haven't really had cricket events there. The Caribbean's always good. I do think that moving forward, if the West Indies and the US are to host events, they should have all the matches sort of at night in prime time here in North America, just to expand the audience. Because I think for the subcontinent, for those viewers in India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, they'll watch the games whenever they're on. It doesn't matter if India is playing at 7 p.m. It doesn't matter if India is playing at 7 a.m. People will tune in. But I think you lose a lot of your casual audience or audience of potentially growing the fans when you play games at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Absolutely. I think, like you mentioned, it's not been the highest quality of cricket, but it's certainly been entertaining. And whenever there's a tournament where the underdogs get a lot of results, especially like Qatar 2022, that always makes for massive entertainment. Everybody's rooting for the underdog. USA was a great story. Afghanistan was a great story. Even the likes of PNG and Canada were a great story as well. So overall, I think we've had fun. I think 20 teams is certainly possible to move forward. And of course, let's see in 2026, India and Sri Lanka. It'll be a very spin-friendly pitches, perhaps batting-friendly as well. It will be interesting to see what stage of the year they have the tournament in, whether it's in late winter or in early spring, like in February or March, where the PSL and the IPL windows are. So that remains to be seen. But overall, I think we've had a lot of fun in this T20 World Cup. And like you mentioned, the two best teams have made it to the final, the two undefeated teams. So looking forward to tomorrow's contest in Barbados. Should be a good one.
And one other thing that I think was important in this World Cup is that unlike the IPL and the PSL, which was so batter dependent, scores above 200, this was much more of a contest between bat and ball, a lot lower scores. And so you had a lot more of those sort of associate teams being able to win. You had the US winning, you had close games with Canada, with PNG, et cetera, et cetera. And there is a charm in that as well. It's not always about, scoring 220 and 10 hot overs.
I dare say there is more charm in that. That is the kind of cricket I enjoy when the likes of Nepal are almost about to beat South Africa, when they're almost about to beat Bangladesh. Those are the matches I enjoy. I've seen our teams, we see our teams regularly in bilaterals. It just comes and goes when these teams keep playing each other. You don't even remember those matches, but I'll always remember the time Afghanistan beat Australia. I'll always remember the time Nepal could have won but forgot to get their bat in and take it to a super over against South Africa. These are the small memories I'm sure everybody will take away. And I will absolutely remember when USA beat Pakistan in a super over. I think we're not going to forget that loss for a very, very long time.
I was there at that game. It was sweltering hot, and I just watching it unfold, you couldn't believe what you were seeing. To lose not once but twice in the space of 42 hours. Thank you, AZ. We'll do it again after the final.
Absolutely.